right. Well, welcome to the Sunday afternoon call. It's a little after 4 p.m. Sunday, the what 29th of September, 28th. All right. So, uh today we'll talk about basically the distinction between the ordinary mind, the mind of one who does not practice, versus the mind of one who does practice. Now, one of the things that was asked, someone asked the question, please talk about laziness, sloth, torpor, procrastination versus nothing to do, been there, done that, already enlightened. All right. So at that place where he put the verses, you can say that everything before that has to do with the ordinary mind, and everything after that has to do with a mind that is well practiced. So when we look at it from that perspective, we can see that the ordinary mind has been trained with ordinary society, and that we are often caught in the position of not doing what we're told to do. Our teachers tell the kids in class what to do. Most kids don't like to do what they're told to do, but they'll do it anyway, and that creates a conflict within the mind, so that in fact it brings on sloth and torpor. It brings on an I don't care attitude and other things like this, because we trained ourselves from childhood to go along, to get along, to do what we're told to do. But inside, there's a resistance that we resist it. When we get caught resisting, when that teacher sees us doing that, or daddy or someone, then they'll call it laziness, because you're not doing what you were told to do. And also, it's called procrastination, which kind of means putting things off because we don't want to do them. Putting things off because we don't want to do it is the basic state of most people in the whole world. Whatever they're doing, they're not really doing it eagerly, unless they're doing it through other negative emotions like anger, resentment, etc., like that. They're in a defensive place, not in a let us say a wholesome state, but in an unwholesome state. That this is the state of procrastination. This is in the state of doing what we're told to do, but not liking to do it. And so, being trained in the society like that, when we come to the real Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha, the noble teachings, we begin to hear that we can change our mind state from that I don't want to do it, but I'll do it anyway, into yes, I can do it. Now, that change is a real change of attitude, but it doesn't stick easily because we have already developed the habit of doing what we were told to do and not liking it, or resisting doing what we're supposed to do. And what we're supposed to do was somebody else's idea in the first place anyway. That in fact, all the supposed tos that you ever had, all the rules that you made up, You made those up based upon somebody else's viewpoint about what you're supposed to be. That basically your personality is a combination of what you were told to be like and your resistance to that. And so when we begin to practice correctly, one of the first things that happens is that we get resistant to practicing. We procrastinate practice. That's in fact probably one of the major reasons why the whole world isn't happy, is because they don't practice being happy. Why? Because being happy was what you were told to do. And how can I be happy unhappily? Let me give that a go for a while. Practice being happy while I'm unhappy. And the practice doesn't work very well. And so we don't make any progress. And because of that, we put it off. We procrastinate again. So if there's anything that you can learn from this talk today, the main thing to learn is that your procrastination is the major obstacle to your practice. That's the main thing. And we can bring up all kinds of secondary stuff like, I don't understand how to practice. But the real point is that I don't want to practice. Even though the Anapanasati Sutta and many people who have practiced correctly will tell you that you have great benefit. You will have great fruit from practicing correctly. And many people do practice a little bit correctly. And then they think, well, I've done enough. And then they stop, they quit. That in fact, correct practice is almost always an off and on thing. And that if we can develop the practice of consistently, constantly coming back and practicing correctly, we will get that great fruit, that great benefit. That in fact, one of the main points of practice is to develop a state that's called sukha. Now, sukha is a state that has several characteristics: freedom from fear, in the sense of being safe and secure, not being fearless, but just being safe and secure. Safe, secure, comfortable, and satisfied. This is the main practice. That, in fact, if you think about it just a bit, if the definition of dukkha means dissatisfaction, then when we get ourselves into a state of satisfaction, we've already right then and there fulfilled all the teachings of the Buddha, because that's all he was teaching anyway, was seeing dukkha and dukkha nirodha. So dukkha nirodha, the end of dukkha, right now in this present moment, is satisfaction. So when we are in a state of dissatisfaction, that means that the mind is back into that ordinary state. And that ordinary state of dissatisfaction then has all of the attributes of that state of mind, including, I don't want to practice. I don't want to practice. Leave me alone. I don't want to practice right now. I'd rather do something else, even though I make some doing it. I don't want to practice. I don't want to be happy right now. I want to leave me alone already. And so this is a major problem. And that if we can overcome that in this moment, if we can say, oh, yeah, that's right, I see that I am procrastinating right now. When we can see that we're procrastinating right now, guess what? You're actually practicing correctly. But when you say, I don't want to practice right now, and not see that that's just procrastination, that's putting it off, wanting to do something else, even though we know that whatever else that we could possibly do is not going to be as enjoyable or as satisfying as just being okay right now, just being satisfied with this present moment. So that's a major point, is that when we are in an ordinary state of mind, we actually need to put in the right noble effort to change that state. And yet we don't want to do it. Well, if that's the case, then one of the things that maybe we can do is start with having a regularly appointed time. So we say, we'll set the alarm or something like that. And when the alarm goes off, we can say, okay, now is the time to practice. Let me practice at least long enough to get myself into a state of satisfaction and then maintain it for a little while. This doesn't really take very long. And then, in fact, the more you practice, the easier it is to remember to practice. And so we can use a reminder in the beginning, because otherwise, and everybody's like this. I have never met a student who jumped into the practice and then stayed practicing on a regular basis, day after day after day. No one does this. Now, there's many people who will, let us say, do an hour of meditation, but in that hour of meditation, most of it is actually procrastination. They're not actually practicing while they're sitting there waiting for their own bell to ring. And so they don't get much result out of it. And so if you do set a time, it would actually be better not to set a long time, because the longer the time, say 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, when we see that bell ring, we'll say, oh no, 3 hours? I can't do 3 hours. Let me do nothing instead. Nothing in the sense of not practicing. And so we'll go off and do something else and feel bad about not practicing. But if we can see, I'm putting it off because I see the actual practice is not of great benefit, of not a great fruit. It's just something else that I've been told to do. But when you see that you do get the value out of it, that's the important point, is you start to see that you're getting real value out of it. Then you begin to develop an eagerness to practice. So that every time that you think about it, you start practicing right then and there. Every time you remember. But most people, when they do remember, they'll procrastinate. Oh, I'll do it later. Let me be miserable right now because that's my normal way of doing it. And so the right thing to do, the correct thing to do, is to be able to see, oh, that point of procrastination has just come up. Now, in fact, you could say that procrastination is actually one of the hindrances, and that it would be the hindrance of sloth, as opposed to torpor. And torpor and sloth are almost always put together, because the outcome for both of those is that it remains in that state and not comes out of it. And so when one is sleepy, when one is tired, the right thing to do is to rest, to get some sleep, or at least lay down and do nothing. And while you're laying down and doing nothing because you're too tired to do anything, guess what? That's the right time to practice. Is to just to take a deep breath and say, wow, everything is all right. Not a problem in the world. We can come out of all of those woulds and shoulds and coulds and all of those orders that we've been resisting all this time, and just relax. And so this is then the difference between an ordinary mind that's procrastinating versus getting into a state of just laying there doing nothing, because doing nothing is very pleasant. And procrastination is, in fact, not very pleasant, because you're going against whatever flow that you've created. You're saying, I should do it, but I don't want to. And so that keeps the mind in a state of division. And so the correct practice is to get the mind out of that state of division so that it becomes unified and whole, with the whole mind enjoying doing nothing except just enjoying. That's the whole point of it. So when I give the Zen koan of nothing to do and no place to go, and the spring comes and the grass grows by itself, that's coming from the samadhi mind. But when the ordinary mind hears nothing to do and no place to go, they'll say, but if I'm doing that, then I'm procrastinating. I'm not practicing correctly. And yes, that attitude is not. All right. And so the distinction is that when we are relaxed, safe, secure, comfortable, and satisfied, taking a nice deep breath and just enjoying the moment, that's correct practice. Putting that practice off is not practice. That's the hindrance of sloth and torpor. Another hindrance would be, well, I'm not sure how to practice. But if we can say, aha, I see that doubt of I'm not sure how to practice, because it's so easy to practice, just put that doubt down and says, I don't know how to practice, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't know how to practice, but I'm going to relax and get the mind satisfied all on its own. That I don't have to have a big kind of procedure. One of the things that you can also do to help the mind get satisfied is by reminding yourself of your favorite jokes. I've got a whole list of Buddhist jokes that I like. I've told almost all of them here on various groups here. And that when we tell ourselves those jokes, that actually puts us in the mood of being pleasant, a pleasant abiding. That in fact, that's what the Buddha has referred to as jhana state. No matter which jhana you can refer to in the various aspects of the various jhanas, they all have the same thing in common, in the sense that it's a pleasant state. And so this is what we would be aiming for, is getting the mind into a pleasant state. Now, that's not procrastination. That's actually doing something in the direction of doing nothing. An example of that would be when we go to bed at night, we generally take our clothes off. We prepare for bed. We pull the sheets back, and then we lay down. So that procrastination is the same thing as not getting undressed, not pulling the sheets back, standing there and saying, I don't want to go to bed. I want to do something else. I want to play on the cell phone or find something else that's entertaining, rather than putting the cell phone down and just relaxing. That's correct practice of putting the cell phone down and just relax. Take a deep breath with the thought of everything is okay, everything is fine. Now, when you're using the cell phone, some of it is scrolling. I've heard it called dumb scrolling or painful scrolling. Just scroll after scroll after scroll. Or the worst thing you can do is watch the news, because the news is in the business of making you unhappy. They want to make you upset. They want to change your views from everything is all right into, oh, there's danger. Stay tuned. There's more danger coming. But we can also play a game. But if you recognize the game almost always has some kind of score. And the better you do at the game, the better you like the game. And most of the games that I've seen have advertisements in it. And so we don't want to listen to the advertisements. We get into a state of in a rush, in a hurry. I want to get back to the game. Or if we're playing the game, we're in a state of wanting to do something, wanting to have a good score. But if we can set that game down, set the phone down, take a deep breath and say, wow, I'm already okay. In fact, I'm better off without trying to make a high score on that game. Now, I'm not saying never play a game, but I am saying instead that you can do something better than that game on a regular basis. And this is what I would mean by a regular basis, is at least once an hour. That in fact, you might want to set a timer on your cell phone for every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, and every time that the cell phone goes off, you can turn the alarm off and then take a deep breath and remind yourself everything is okay, everything is fine. But I bet what will happen is that alarm will go off and you'll turn the alarm off and then go right back to what you were doing and procrastinate yet again. We get stuck in whatever we're doing rather than taking the mental discipline to actually stop our procrastination. Okay, so procrastination then, or sloth, can be seen as an ordinary state of mind rather than a noble state of mind. And the noble state of mind is in a relaxed state. You can think of it as once you get into that relaxed, easy state where the mind is satisfied, the mind is in fact joyful, then that's the job that really needs to be done. The job of playing the game on the cell phone, the job of going to work, all has that quality of wanting to feel good about the game. And you probably played games enough to know that you can spend 10 or 15 minutes playing the game. And when you win the game, then you'll feel satisfied for 1, 2, 3, or 4 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. And then you get unhappy because the advertisements are still playing. You want to get back to the game. And you can't because the ads are playing. All right. So in that moment, you're in a state of wanting something that you don't have. That's dukkha again. So we go from play and work hard and wanting to get a point and wanting to win the game into winning the game, feeling good. That feeling good doesn't last long and it stops because we want something. We want to play the game again. And we're already, so the whole sequence that we're talking about is an ordinary state of mind. So the right thing to do, if we can call it right noble effort, the right noble effort is after you play every game to sit down and say, wow, now I can rest. I've won that game. I feel good about the game. Let me continue that feeling good. Let me take a deep breath, relax with the thought of, I'm a winner. I can play that game and I can also practice Dhamma by gladdening the mind and keeping the mind glad. And so instead of playing for 20 minutes and then on the game and then wanting to play the game again, we can just set it down and say, okay, I won that game. I'm satisfied now. Let me just rest. I've already gotten the joy of winning the game. Now let me have the joy of winning a better game. The job is well done, and I feel good in my mind, not because I won a game, not that game on the cell phone, but I won a better game. I won Buddha's game. And now I feel glad and happy because I know how to do that. And so start to become aware that we do all kinds of things that are normal, ordinary, that have to do with procrastination. It has to do with doubt. It has to do with wanting something, wanting to win, or feeling bad because we didn't win and we lost that game. All of that stuff is ordinary, and we could be practicing the noble Dhamma instead. So start to remember that we can, in fact, get ourselves into a really good state. Now, I know because I've been through it, and I know because I've seen a lot of students. They'll do a little bit of Dhamma and then a whole lot of procrastination and liking stuff that they don't have and then wanting it and feeling bad. And then the thought will come, maybe I should practice again. And then they'll say, no, I'll play another game instead. And so that procrastination winds up being a real issue. And so we can say then that the procrastination and the doubt and the wanting to make a good score on the game are the hindrances that are not just hindrances in the practice and to the practice. The hindrances are there before we ever start to practice. That's where the real hindrances are, is before we ever practice. And so if we can begin to overcome that, is that not true, Karwan? That the real hindrances to practice is before we start to practice. The hindrances of practice are not while we're practicing. So that's the important thing, is to let's start to practice. Now, the practice is so easy that it's confusing because we're already interested in having a complicated life, because the more complicated that game, then the better I'll feel when I win it. But the game of satisfaction, the game of the Buddha, is so dead easy that people don't want to practice it because they say, oh, well, what's the use of doing that when I could play a game instead? Mm-hmm. And so this is where we can change our attitude, getting into real practice. The real practice is to remember that, wow, practice is of great fruit. It's great value. I really feel good when I'm practicing. Let me continue to practice. So, in the sutras, it talks about applying the mind and then sustaining it. But if we're procrastinating, we don't even bother to apply the mind to the wholesome. We don't apply the mind to safe, secure, comfortable, and satisfied. But if we begin to do that, now we can start to practice sustaining the mind into keeping it satisfied. How long can you keep the mind satisfied means how long can you keep that cell phone down and not play with the cell phone? How long can you be in a state of satisfaction so that you don't open your mouth and start talking to someone? How long can you stay in that state of satisfaction so that you don't say, wait a minute, I've got work to do. Let me get back into doing whatever I was doing. Because really, being in a state of satisfaction is something that you can do while you get up, go to the fountain. You can actually begin to start working again with the intention of doing it while in a state of great, beautiful satisfaction. And almost no one can do that. Wow, as soon as we get back to work, we either get lost in the work or we get lost in hating the work, rather than keeping that eye on being satisfied, staying in that state of satisfaction over and over and over again. We apply the mind so that we can get it into a state of satisfaction, and then we go do something else. Why not stay in that state of satisfaction? I mean, that's really of great value, great usefulness. So let's stay in that state of satisfaction rather than rushing off to go do something that's got no satisfaction in it at all. And so this is, we can say then, is these are these two states of an ordinary mind and a mind that's in the noble state of satisfaction. And so that sloth is actually the Buddha's word for procrastination, or of laziness in the sense of not practicing, to where, in fact, the art of doing nothing is quite noble. It's not of the ordinary mind at all. And yet the whole point of this talk was because somebody couldn't tell the difference between nothing to do and no place to go versus procrastination. Well, it's kind of funny because we procrastinate to not go into that state of nothing to do and no place to go because we're in a state of satisfaction. And this is the teaching of the Buddha. Now, one of the things that we can mention is that most of the students of the Buddha in the time of the Buddha were not monks. Most of them were laymen. Actually, the word layman is a Catholic word. The word that they used in the time of the Buddha was householder, which meant a landowner, which meant that they probably got employees that they had crops to bring in, etc., like that. And that the style that the Buddha gave was for those who were going to remain householders. They still have the practice. They can, in fact, give the work, the duties, to the wife because she wants to do it anyway. Every woman wants to be the boss. Men have been the boss a long time. Oh, Agnes, you shake your head and you know darn well that you're the boss in your own life now. You don't want a man to come tell you what to do at all. You do want to be the boss. I know you.
I don't want anyone to tell me what to do.
That's right. You don't want me to tell you what to do. So that's the whole point is that nobody wants to be told what to do, and yet the men are going around telling their wives what to do all the time, and the wives don't like that at all. But if a husband can be wise enough to stop telling the wife what to do and let the wife do what she wants to do, then she'll be happy, she'll treat him well, and he could sit on the porch and do nothing. Now, most of the monks were not householders at all. They were Sudra, which meant that they didn't own any land and that they had to work for a living, probably from some Brahmin who owned land or some merchant who owned a store, and that the Buddha gave them the Bhikkhu Sangha so that they could find a way of making a meager living by not doing anything at all. And yet in our society, people don't even know that that exists. Even the Catholic monks have a lot to do. If you go join a Catholic monastery, they'll put you to work. Probably the ones who work the hardest are the Jesuits because they've got a kingdom to build. And then the other monks, the Capuchins and the Dominicans, the Dominicans, they have a job of making wine, and the Capuchins all get devoted and all of this kind of stuff. And so they've got a routine every day. When I was a monk, I had a lot of actually all kinds of people, but many Catholics would come. This was up in northern North Carolina, which is pretty close to Washington, D.C., which is a real big group area of Catholics in the U.S., and that there was a Catholic monastery not far from where our Wat was, about 30, 40 miles. And constantly people would come to the Wat after they had gone to the monastery, the Catholic monastery, and they would ask me, well, what do you do all day? And I'd think a minute, and I'd scratch my beard that I didn't have, just stubble. And then I'd say, I do lunch. The rest of the time is free. And they say, how can you do that? Don't you have to go to the workshop, and then don't you have to clean up, and then don't you have to do this, that, and the other thing? Don't you have to go to Vespers? Don't you have to do all of these things? I mean, you're a monk. And the answer to that is, well, really, the thing to do is to learn how to do nothing, because we've already gotten the real job done. And what is the real job? Stop having a bunch of stuff to do and just relax and enjoy yourself. And I'll tell you, that was hard work for me when I was a young monk. It was tough because I had come out of the society of, you've got work to do. The thought would be, you've got to become enlightened. Why don't you sit down and do what you're told to do? And then I would get bored because I was working so hard to get something that was dead easy to get. I just didn't know that. And so I'm giving you the noble Dhamma now so that you can just relax. Just relax. That's all there is to it. But you have to remember to relax, because you've got all of that old programming that you have to get over. And that old programming is, you got to work. You got to work. Even Goenka in his retreat says, work. You got to work. I don't know why he wants people to work. He doesn't work. Well, actually, he does. He works really hard at telling the students, you got to work. But here we're looking with the Noble Dhamma that really the job that needs to be done is to stop thinking that there's a job to do. You begin to learn to live your life easy. And then you say, wait a minute, that's procrastination, isn't it? No, the job that needed to be done has already been done. Now we can relax. And they say, well, I've got a job to do. Well, the job that you've got is a job that you made up in your mind, and it's not the real work that needs to be done. The real work that needs to be done is to throw that thought out, I've got to go to work, out. The real job, you can think of it like this, as a to-do list. There's a to-do list and there's a not to-do list. So let's throw away the to-do list and build a not do list. And the first item on the not do list is to put, I've got something to do on that not to do list. That's kind of funny, I know. This is living a life very much like the monks do. It's actually a difficult thing to learn because it goes against our instincts. It goes against all of our programming. And so it needs to be practiced on a regular basis until it begins to sink in, till it's almost like a scales. And here you've got 100 pounds of go to work and do what you were told to do. And now you're going to put 1 ounce of everything is okay. And then you've got another 100 pounds of, I've got work to do here. And then we put another ounce of, everything is okay, everything is fine, Nothing needs to be done. Let me relax. Well, if you keep doing that, pretty soon you'll have 100 pounds of, I've got nothing to do. And then the scales kind of balance out. But we have to keep practicing over and over and over again, several times a day. Keep practicing having nothing to do. Keep practicing getting out of that state of procrastination and in the state of right noble effort to throw those old programs out and to get into a state of everything is okay, not a problem in the world. I've got this made. So, Carwan, what do you think?
Dhammarato, yeah, thank you again. Yeah, not much to do. Yeah, in a way, actually, Dhamma is really easy, because if we want to procrastinate, then let's just do Dhamma. Then we are really like doing really nothing. But
It's not a state of
That is the point.
procrastination.
Yeah,
It's a state of
it is
success.
not.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it's the opposite.
yeah,
Qualified nothingness, qualified state of doing nothing, but doing as a practice. I even sorry, Karwan, just to add something really quickly. There's a saying in Go that they're black and white pieces. Then you have like a board, and you just put those pieces and see who does who gets most pieces first. They have a saying on lose your first 50 games of Go as fast as possible. Maybe on the Dhamma would do your first 50 practices as often as possible.
That's what I would recommend. Now, that's completely different than what the Westerners have been saying is you've got to do all of today's practice in one sitting. You got to sit for an hour. Nobody could do that. Your attention span's not long enough. Not only that, but most of those kind of meditations don't get yourself into a state of joy. And what you're talking about with that game of Go is you got to put some stuff into it. You got to keep putting those pieces out. And here we're talking about it. You got to keep putting out those happy, wholesome thoughts. Keep putting those wholesome thoughts out there. Over and over and over again. Several times a day.
Yes.
Often. 5 minutes an hour would be excellent. Because what will happen is that you begin to fill in the gaps with wholesome moments. You'll remember often.
Dhammarato, what also is the worldly things are so attractive. In a way, they're so pulling. Sometimes I do most of the day. I do just practice. I do nothing. But then before you know, I'm just thinking, planning, about life, and I'm like, okay, I'm gone again, and then back to the practice.
So you can now you're thinking about doing the practice. You want to practice, but you wind up back in ordinary mind again. Okay. So this is where sati really helps to remember to come back over and over and over again. Then, in fact, generally what happens is somebody will have a happy, wholesome thought, and then they'll have another thought after that disagrees because it goes back to the old stuff. Like, wow, this is good. I'm really joyful. And then the next thought will be, you're not joyful enough. You got to work harder to get joyful. And there you were joyful, and now you've just destroyed it by thinking that you need more of it. Or like, oh, I feel satisfied. Everything is nice. Well, this is not satisfaction. You need more satisfaction. It's not good enough. Because we keep telling ourselves over and over again that we're not good enough. And so practice is to practice being good enough. You've already won. You've already done the job that needs to be done, which is to cut off all the work and all that future and just enjoy this moment. 5 minutes an hour will make let us say this: if you work for 2 hours in a row, you're going to get really tired. But if you break that up for 50 minutes and then you have 5 minutes off, and then 50 more minutes, and then you have another 5 minutes off, then you're going to stay fresher throughout the day, because you're dropping all of that to-do list and coming up with that empty list. So, Ivan, wow, I'm good to see you, friend. Where you been?
Taking time away from Discord because I'm procrastinating. Haha.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
timely talk. Thank you.
yes, I've been missing you, but I'm glad to see you here. And I know that you've been possibly putting in too much work on Discord. That in fact the problem is that you've got both a wholesome, happy Dhamma Discord, and you spend good time there, and then you've got other Discords that are ordinary people having a lot of ordinary language. And so that's what's going to tire you out. So I would say stay with Dhamma friends so that you can stay happy and easy without too much work to do by dealing with ordinary language. What do you think about that?
I will keep going.
Pardon?
Yeah. I agree. It's just I don't know. Like like even even in Dharma friends sometimes, because I don't know, like I talk too much sometimes. So
Enjoy yourself.
yeah, so that's one. Yeah.
You can enjoy that too. Just put the joy into it, and just pay really close attention to all of those. I have to eat those words actually, because I had to do that on work. So much ordinary stuff and so much ordinary language. The language that could actually divide my attention into two topics, and I had to just it's fine, yeah. But what the person actually says is not false, and that's okay. Oh, if I'm tired, I'm tired. Let me see what happens, and we do it again and again. Right? That's awesome. Life's awesome. Just God is great. Whatever the Dhammarato. I even put I am gratefulness was my first way of having my mind gladdened. I had no other ways to do that at the moment, because I had a really depressed state of mind. You can actually see on the chat. We put the 2 lessons of Dhammarato's guided meditations on the Buddha, and we enjoyed ourselves doing that.
Yes. So you can raise that as a topic. Oh, let's do another guided meditation. I can guide.
Oh, thank you.
So let's see. Fabon, what do you have to say?
Yes, thank you, Dhammarato. This is very familiar territory for me. Sloth, torpor, and procrastination.
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. I'm not sure if you're checking my things. I hope you hear me. A little
Well,
bit
I
better
can hear
now.
your voice, but I don't understand what you're saying completely. That's why I asked you to repeat it.
Oh, yeah. So I'm enjoying your talk. Thanks very much for this. What I can say is, when you were talking, I was kind of going back into those moments why it's so hard to just to have that a little bit of margin of gladdening the mind during the day, and it's not easy, right? I feel like it's like the head is a
But that's
vortex.
an unwholesome thought. It's not easy. Whenever you hear the word, oh, it's not easy, you can change that and say, wait a minute, this stuff is so easy because you're doing nothing. How easy is doing nothing? Being satisfied with everything is already okay. The job that needed to be done has just been done. The job that needs to be done is the job of, oh, it's so hard. And the answer to that is no, it's not. It's not hard. It's easy.
Yeah, maybe it's more like to say myself, stop doing this and do something else, take a break, just
Mm-hmm.
have this
Or
addiction
instead
of
of
salt.
doing something else, we can just gladden the mind and sit and relax and do nothing. Practice doing nothing. It's an art.
Yeah.
The art of just sitting and being fine. Wow, it's so nice just to sit, do nothing. So, Anna and Mal, what do you have to say?
Really appreciate the talk, Dhammarato. Thank you for all the reminders. I think we go back to the practiced way of functioning, which is going to the phone for relaxation and all. So it is good to remember that can put that down and do nothing and practice being in a wholesome state without all that.
Very good. Remember that it's already easy, that you've already
Yeah.
worked too hard and you didn't get what you wanted out of it. So let's not work so hard anymore. Let's take it easy.
Yeah.
Catherine, what do you have to say?
So I think when I remember to practice, I do find it easy and very joyful. But I can find that I get lost with work or family and then I forget.
This is why I would recommend to set your cell phone, to set an alarm to help you remember that it's okay to stop doing whatever you're doing.
But I guess at work, I can't really stop doing what I'm doing.
I bet you can. I bet you
Mm.
can stop for 5 minutes. You'll get more done in a 55-minute hour than you will in a 60-minute hour if you can take 5 minutes to be joyful.
Thank you.
That would be also true even if you were on assembly line, or the past that I remember is picking cotton. If you pick cotton for 60 minutes and then pick more cotton for another 60 minutes, you're nearly worn out. But if you can take 5 minutes off and take a breather, then the next 55 minutes is easier. And then take another break. That's especially true, by the way, for coders. When you're trying to debug something, get away from the debugging, because that's when we get the mind all tight and try to fix it, and we don't like what's going on because the software doesn't do what we want it to do. Take 5 minutes off. That bug will be a whole lot easier to find after you've had 5 minutes away from it. Or if you're really stuck into it deep, sometimes you can fix it by going to sleep. Einstein figured that one out himself. He'd get all wrapped up in some mathematical problem and he couldn't solve it. And then when he'd go to sleep, it would come to him. So this is why we need to take a break from all that heavy work. You'll do a better job at whatever it is that you're doing if you'll take 5 minutes off every hour, or 10, or maybe 30 minutes off, and then you'll get a whole lot done in 30 minutes. So, Mr. Ben, what do you have to say?
It's nice to take a break. And it's nice to be satisfied, but still be able to do things just without so much attachment to having to have it turn out a certain way. Because when we're already satisfied, then we can do things and enjoy them instead of doing them want to get satisfaction that we didn't have. But when we already have it, we don't need it from anywhere else, but it doesn't mean we can't still do things.
Yes, it's hard to work while you're satisfied. Generally, when we're actually satisfied, then it's actually playful. But if you got to work hard, that's not enjoyable. And the outcome is probably not as good.
Yeah. When there's nothing to be done, we
Agnes,
can
what
just
do you
sit
have
and
to
be
say?
happy.
Miss Boss Lady, what do you have to say?
I think I'm not much of a boss, really. I don't have much to say about procrastination. I don't think I do that a lot. And also the slot and torpor, I haven't had much of that either. I'm more of a restless person in that way. So I've been learning a lot to take it easy and to be happy. So I think I'm more into that now because I don't really want to work either. So, well, that's about it.
Let me remind everyone that Agnes is the oldest student here. I've known her since the early 2000s, 2001, 2002. So we've known each other for more than 20 years. I hope
And
that
I listened.
What?
I listened a lot to you, so I took your advice a lot of the time. So perhaps that's why I'm so happy now. I think.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have three ladies on the call right now. There's actually a ladies channel on our Discord, and I would highly recommend that you come in and spread your happiness and joy on the ladies group there, Agnes. And if
I can do
anybody's got
that.
any Dhamma questions, she's the go-to. Go to her.
Yeah. I'll
Same
try.
thing is true with some others here. That Mikey is a go-to and Ivan is a go-to. So we've got three go-tos here. Old students, been around a long time. Mr. Ben, too. Yes, Mr. Ben. He's a go-to guy. So, Amit, what do you have to say?
Thanks a lot, Dhammarato, for again marvelous talk, very enlightening. I just want to say I was recently listening to a talk by some neuroscientists, and they were saying that most of the work anyway is done by our conscious part of our brain, and we have like a very small conscious brain, this ego one, and what it is doing when it is worrying and it is anxious, it is actually kind of taking a lot of resources and not letting the brain do the work. So it kind of fits very well with your teaching. So if you are relaxing, actually the work is happening behind the scene, right? Like the spring is coming and we don't have to work to bring the spring. It will come by itself.
That's true. So basically, you can apply that thought to everything that we've been talking about today, that when we work really hard to get it done, we're not nearly as efficient as if we just relax and let it pop right up. So, Robert, what do you have to say?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dhammarato. I like the 5 minutes idea of relaxing, and that relaxing is an art that needs to be learned. I will take that as a practice item for myself.
What? So, Oh, yeah. Michael Swift, what do you have to say?
Thank you very much, Dhammarato. This was a great talk. I was reminded of, I guess me in my practice, I've noticed that I can go either direction of laziness, procrastination, or I can get super excited about doing something. And neither way is very good. When I calm down and relax and just focus on the middle path, I think that it's a lot better. And I was also reminded of a prior talk when I believe you had mentioned just taking the Dhamma bucket and putting a small drop of Dhamma in your Dhamma bucket at a time. And I got the picture in my head of the analogy of a scale being tipped, and you just take a drop out of the ordinary bucket and put it in the Dhamma bucket, one drop at a time, and eventually the scales gets tipped. And I would say that would be the quality of equanimity. So happy to be here. Thank you very much, Dhammarato.
Good. Who's next? I got everybody, I think. Krishni, what do you have to say?
I don't know if Krishni will be able to respond. Actually, I can see him in the environment we are. So it's in VR. So yeah, he says in the chat that he's okay.
All right. Giannis, what do you have to say?
Yeah, doing nothing is very refreshing, and I really like the reminder to keep looking at the thought that comes right after, because it's an art. Yeah, it requires some ingenuity to look at what comes right after.
Yes.
Yes.
Always, whenever that really wholesome thought gets there, remember to look at the next thought too, because that's the one that's probably going to interfere with your first wholesome thought. The rebuttal. The yes, but. So, Fabon, do you have anything else to say?
I'm very content. Thank you, Dhammarato. Something to practice.
Excellent. Excellent. So, does anybody have any last remarks? All right, Mikey, why don't you land this thing?
Yeah. Now that there's nothing left to say, we truly can take it easy and enjoy and be at peace. So yeah, thanks friends for being here today. This has been a splendid talk. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out the video description to come join us here on the Dhamma Friends Discord. You can also find a link to the Open Sangha Foundation website as well in the video description. You can also listen to these talks on the iTunes, Spotify, and other podcasting platforms. So yeah, take care, friends. And yeah, you guys are welcome to stay here and keep chatting Dhamma, even as Dhammarato goes away. We invite people to keep making friends here. And yeah, keep posting. Stay around noble friends. That helps to keep the mind wholesome. So yeah.
Yes, especially the ladies. Agnes, stay on for a while. Catherine, stay on for a while. Amal, stay on for a while. Get to know each other. You'll find some good Dharma friends here. And so last thing to say is, Ivan, especially, I want to thank you for all of the fine work that you've been doing on Discord. That in fact, it's only when you're gone that we see how much you've been doing. And so I'm
Only
glad to
gone
see you.
It's only like a few days. Yeah.
All right. So thank you all. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dhammarato.
See you. Enjoy. Just keep enjoying it.